Hello, this is Roger Heska behind the camera, interviewing a new friend of mine. His name is Matt Warner, and he is the live foodist. he has a wonderful story to share about how he went raw. And anyway, let him talk. So, Matt, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you found the raw food diet, and maybe a little bit about your background, and sort of how you got to that point.
Okay, well, my background in my youth, I was very, I had a very tough background in the sense that I got caught up in a lot of addiction, stemming from a childhood addiction with food that turned into drugs and alcohol later on, and got pretty heavy in that respect. There's a lot that went on in that time. Just to summarize it, I got to a point where it was such a heavy use of stimulants and drugs and stuff like that, and the food addiction had continued all throughout that. But then I finally reached a point where I reached sort of a crossroads and realized that I was going down a really bad road, and if I continued any further, it was just going to be it. So I had to make a decision to either change my ways totally or just keep going down that bad road. And when I made the decision to turn my life around, I had the kind of personality to go to the extreme. So I wanted to make sure I was finding, like, if I was going to change anyway, I wanted to find like the best thing I could do in that aspect of my life. And I began in the spirituality, and I looked at every single religion, and just all over across the board, and just instead of trying to subscribe to one religion or the other, just took all the parts that resonated with me out of each religion to kind of cultivate my own personal religion, which is what I kind of used for that. And then getting into diet, realizing diet was a huge part of what was going on in my life, and could be a huge part of getting me out of what was going on in my life. I looked at all different kinds of diets to find out what resonated most with me. And with religion it was different because there were different aspects of every diet, or of every religion that I could resonate with and form as my own. But as far as food went, when I got to the raw food diet, there were things that made a lot of sense in other diets, but the raw food diet kind of bundled it all up and made perfect sense to me, and it just resonated immediately that was like the truth for me. And there was nothing better, and I was like, how come nobody talks about this, and why is not everybody not screaming about it? Because it's life-saving, it's life-changing, and it'll just propel you into an evolution that's just very rapid and amazing. And when I got into the raw food for my own personal diet, I got so passionate about it that I wanted to spread it, and I wanted it to be part of my life, so I figured out a way to make it a business, and I started a business doing the raw foods.
Yeah, why don't you why don't you tell me first of all, I guess, your website.
Oh, my website is www.livefoodist.com, LIVEFOODIST. What I do is I do a lot of different services that are tailored to individuals' personal needs, to get people to be able to transition from where they are to where they could possibly be, finding their pace, and through different services like personal consultations, food package plans. I have made-to-order stuff on my site that I make and send to people.
So you're also a raw chef.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I do make food for people. I do some of my unique services is I do demonstrations for people at their homes. They invite me over, they invite their friends over, and we do a demonstration style thing where I'll make stuff for them they can try, and I'll tell them all about the diet and different tips they can use in terms of transitioning. And I also like to offer the entire range, and I want to offer the transitional gourmet food for some of the people who that's what they're ready for and that's what they want. But I also like to emphasize where I've come with the raw food diet with what's called natural hygiene, and getting as close to natural hygiene and a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet as possible. And for the people that are ready or are receptive to that, I like to offer that to them as well, and get to everybody from wherever they are and help them move along through all the different services.
So you're on a low-fat, raw, optimal kind of raw food diet, we call, or Dr. Graham's 80-10-10 diet, something along those lines.
Right.
And some people think that when you're eating all that fruit, you're going to start putting on weight. Was that the case with you?
No, the only thing that I started getting from the fruit was just tremendous amounts of energy to exercise and to move around. And if anything, a tremendous amount of fruit just forces you to want to move around and to exercise, and it makes that be more comfortable. You start to be uncomfortable with just hanging around and sitting around and being sedentary. If you're getting that much energy, you want to do something with it.
Right.
And that helps you build the muscle and helps you build the mass, the good mass that you're building, instead of just eating all the fat and among all the health problems from consuming high amounts of fat over time. You're not going to experience that when you're sticking with a high carbohydrate, right amount of fat, right amount of carbohydrate diet.
And what about, I know you had an experience of doing, you were an alcoholic, doing just crazy stuff with drugs. What is your experience now? Because I know for myself that with eating a raw food diet, I feel like I'm getting a natural high. So tell me a little about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest point. I can't say that raw food got me out of the drug scene, because I was out of the drug scene first, but I definitely still had a void to fill, because there was a reason I started doing all the drugs, and there's a reason people start doing the subtle drugs that they don't know are drugs, like the processed cooked foods, and that's because we are born, we know by our nature we're supposed to feel really good and feel high. We don't, because we're not getting fed the right things from when we're born, so we start seeking these other things that we learn through society and through those experiences that will give you those feelings. For me, that was a lot of drugs. And so when I quit doing the drugs, I still had that need to feel that good, and I knew there was some nature in that. So when I got raw and got energized and got cleaned out, I started feeling that way, and I started getting what I wanted, and it filled that void. So just forcing myself to quit doing that stuff wasn't enough. I had to find something that was right and natural and that I was supposed to be feeling to replace that with. And that's what I found in a raw food diet, because who knows if I never filled that void, if maybe I would have slipped back into that. And I think that's important, to find that, get that healthy, clean, high, happy, joyful, all the time joyful feeling to help you get through it. And that's what a raw food diet, correct raw food diet with just a correct lifestyle. And all the other aspects are important, exercise, enough sleep, but when you do the diet, and you start with the diet, it kind of dictates the other parts of your life. Like I said, with the fruit, you're going to want to exercise, you're going to have more respect for yourself and your body, you're going to want to do those things to be as healthy as you can be.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So about how long have you been eating this way?
I've been 100% raw for about 3 years. I was a total fast food addict before I went vegetarian. I went vegetarian for about 3 months, and I just went full out raw. So I did, and one funny thing, something that really speaks volumes, is that doing all the drugs that I've done, I have gone through certain withdrawals and detoxes from the drugs, but none of those drugs compared to the withdrawal and detoxes I experienced when getting off of the fast food standard American diet.
That's interesting.
Quitting that lifestyle, the diet lifestyle, the standard American diet cold turkey, was worse withdrawal and detox than I've experienced through any of the other chemical stuff.
So I'm really excited about your current project, the Rainbow Garden Cafe.
Garden Cafe, right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm opening a raw food cafe in Frenchtown, New Jersey, and it's going to be a center for the community. I'm going to have potlucks and seminars and talks and stuff. I'm going to have the basic kind of stuff you find in a lot of raw food places, the transitional kind of food, some of the gourmet stuff. And I'm also going to be offering something a little bit more unique as far as the raw food restaurant world goes, where I'm going to be offering a natural hygiene friendly recipe section, or just some of the recipes will be notated by symbols to show that they're properly combined, they're in the correct ratio, calorie-nutrient ratio, and they are just high fruit meals, but in creative ways. I will offer mono meals if you want to come in and eat, a couple pounds of oranges or maybe 8 or 9 bananas.
Oh, you'll actually have fruit at your place.
Oh, yeah.
At a raw food restaurant. That's amazing.
That's unheard of, right? So, and they'll also have more creative, natural hygiene meals. One of my favorite is I make apple pasta with a raspberry sauce, and it's a really great way to just